Hey, welcome to sunny Edinburgh. And this is my first sort of green screen tutorial where I'm hoping to bust a couple of myths. Green screen is nothing to be frightened of, and I'm doing the absolute minimum setup here, and I'm just going to walk you through it. So, to start with, lots of people are going to tell you green screen requires loads and loads of complicated lighting and millions of lights everywhere. That isn't true if you are just doing a head and shoulders shot like this. If you're wandering around the room and going all sort of Jedi or Steven Spielberg, then yeah, you need lots of stuff. But if you're just doing something simple like this, you can probably use your standard lighting that you've got for your stream anyway. So in my case, that is a Godox SL60W, and that is facing me and literally on my face, more or less, as recommended by Adrian Salisbury. If you haven't heard of Adrian before, go and look up adriansalisburytraining.com. He is Mr. Camera Lights Impact and will tell you much more about camera and lights than I'll ever know. But that's my main light that I use all the time for my streaming. In addition to that, I'm using two other lights today. So these are all downloaded pictures from Amazon because that's where I get everything from, and they come in pairs. But I'm only using one of each of the Nuia and whatever that other one is called lights. And I'm going to tell you where they're sitting a little bit later on. So for want of purposes of making it easy for me, I'm going to call the one on the bottom left studio light. So these are just three lights that I use. I do add some more in sometimes as well, but we'll come to that in a later video. The point here was to just do green screen 101 and make it nice and easy for you. I've intentionally chosen a fairly dramatic background here where it's as unforgiving as possible, just to show you that you can do stuff anyway. So let's move on to look at the rest of the equipment and the things that are possibly a bit more important than just the lighting. So for me, the biggest deal is the camera. So I've got a ZV-E10 and it's got a Viltrox lens on, as you can see there. And really it's the camera that's giving the data to Ecamm. And Ecamm is also vital in this because it's brilliant at doing green screen cutouts. So don't try and do anything without Ecamm, and don't try and do anything without a decent camera. So the camera gives the data to Ecamm, it interprets it, and it does it very well. If you're using a little webcam, you're probably not going to get good data out of it, and therefore Ecamm won't be able to do quite as good a job. However, it still does a great job and way better than the vast majority of things that you'll find out there. So that's what I've got, ZV-E10 and the three lights, and behind me a pop-up green screen. Now Elgato do a pop-up green screen. I've been a bit cheap and nasty and gone and bought a cheaper one. It's 6'5" by 5 foot. Elgato do an XL one as well, but actually the smaller one is perfectly good enough for this type of shot because you can crop everything in Ecamm. Again, I'll do that in a later video, but for the want of this one, I'm just using that pop-up screen. What I find particularly useful is this one's got like a scissor action behind it. So literally you grab it and pull it up and it stands on its own. So you don't have to sort of assemble it. You can push it down, put it to one side when you're not using it. So that's the simple green screen that I use. A lot of people will tell you, you know, you need to iron green screen material and all that sort of thing. Well, it's much easier if you've just got a pop-up stand like that. So that is definitely what I would recommend in terms of what is behind me. So let's have a look at where everything sits. So this is my wonderful diagram to try and explain how everything is set up for me with my three light system. So I have the Godox light sitting to my left hand side and a couple of feet away from me with the big lantern on it, which gives a fairly even spread of light. Then aligned with my right hand shoulder, I have the other lamp that I called a studio lamp, which is just the one that has the little sort of bendy top on it. That's pointing down at 45 degrees and spread over my shoulder and pointing towards the green screen. So it's kind of level with my chair, but it's pointing backwards, and I couldn't really get the diagram to show that very well. But that's all that's doing. It's a hair light, so it's separating me from the background. And then behind me, directly behind me, I've got one of those little newer LED lamps which is lighting up the green screen. So it is important to light the green screen up behind you. In fact, that's more important than the lighting in front of you. But that's it. That's my total setup. Not doing anything fancy at all. So other than that, it really all comes down to Ecamm. So as I said, Ecamm is absolutely brilliant at cutting out your image. So forget Zoom and Teams and all the rubbish stuff that you see on there. Ecamm will do a much, much better job. And it's just a question of tweaking about some of the picture settings to get things working for you. So the main one really in this particular window, while I get my mouse pointing in the right place, is this fade level. So I've checked on transparent here, which is why I've got a transparent background, and behind me it's literally just a blue square with the sort of white glow around it, and I've just done that in Keynote to look a little bit like sort of graduation photo style, where you'll see a lot of this going on. But in this case, I've not chosen a backdrop in the camera window. I've chosen transparent, and the main thing here is this fade level. And as I move the fade level up and down, you'll see me disappear, or you'll see a glow around me. So you're going to have to tweak that fade level till you get it to where you want it to be. I tend to find it's somewhere in the early 60s for me. That's what works the best. You can then also tweak about your brightness and your temperature, and they're going to have a significant effect on how you look. So I'm already a bit too well lit anyway, so the brightness really wants to come down a bit. So I might even take it down below the mid-level. And similar for the temperature. If I bring the temperature right up, I'm going to look like I'm cooking. If I bring it right down, I'm not going to look very well at all. So the temperature and the brightness make quite a lot of difference when you're playing about with green screen. But I tend to find it's just those things. You could change your LUT up and down as well, because that's going to affect the way that you appear on the screen. But essentially, that is it for Green Screen 101. That's all you need to do. So it's really down to mainly the camera and green screen. The lighting, I do sometimes add some extra lights in. You'll see at the moment that I'm quite dark on this side of my face, and I probably want to balance that out a little bit more. So I probably will add another light in front of me, and of course the lights came in pairs, so I've got extra ones, so I can play about with those if I want to. But as a basic, you can probably get away with exactly what you've got for your standard streams to get a decent looking look and feel for your green screen. So with that, of course, you don't have to stick with the plain backgrounds. I'm going to show you in future videos some different backgrounds you might want to choose, and some hints and tips, one of which will probably be to have a shave before you go on a live with a green screen, because I can see the light catching off all of the edges of my beard here, and that's annoying me a bit. So by the next time I probably will have had a shave, but we can get up and do something that looks quite dramatic with green screen by changing the backgrounds up and down. That's going to make a massive difference to how you look and feel, and we're going to look at that in future episodes. But for the moment, that is just me, Green Screen 101, step one, I guess. You don't need millions of lights. It's really easy. Do give it a go, and it's not expensive to put the gear together either. So I reckon my pop-up green screen was about £100. The LED lights, which are either side of me, about £40 each. The £20 for the little light, and then the Godox one is more expensive. That's sort of 200-ish. But you're going to need one good light for your stream anyway. But there we go. 3 light green screen end of the show for this evening, but more green screen hints and tips to come in future episodes. Do make sure you join me. See you later. Cheerio from Edinburgh.